I really wanted to love Ticket to Paradise because the trailer looked incredible. The cast is obviously really great, and it seemed like my kind of film. It seemed good fun, it seemed interesting. Having now seen it, I can say that it's slightly above mediocre. The cast is still amazing. The premise is kind of cliche. It wasn't that fascinating. I certainly didn't think it was that funny, but it wasn't terrible. I don't regret seeing it. It was released this year, 2022. I think a couple of weeks ago now. Directed by Al Parker, written by Al Parker and Daniel Pipsky, and it stars George Clooney and Julia Roberts as David and Georgia, who were once upon a time married. They had a very acrimonious relationship and divorce, and they, against each other's wishes, come together for their daughter's graduation. And their daughter goes off to Bali after graduating before she starts her new job at a law firm. And while there, she meets a man and she writes to her, emails her parents and says, I'm getting married. And obviously, both of her parents are like, you can't marry somebody you barely know and give up your career. And they both decide that the only thing they can do is fly out and stop her. They don't know that they're both flying out to stop her, but they both get there and they realize that in order to stop her and to convince her to not marry, they have to work together. And that's a very big decision for both of them to make. Will they be able to pull this off? Will they be able to stop her? Should they even try and stop her? There are a lot of moral questions here. And certainly those two characters go on a very interesting moral journey as they learn more about themselves. They explore past issues and how it might affect them today, and also how that affects their outlook for their daughter. Because obviously both parents don't want their daughter to end up in the same kind of relationship that they did. And there is the question of, are they doing what's best for their daughter, or are they trying to right their own mistakes through their daughter? And I think it's very unpredictable in terms of the outcome and what was going to happen. I kind of had a suspicion of what would happen, and I was kind of wrong. Certain things I thought were true, some things that I felt were definitely going to happen didn't. And I won't explain what I mean by that. I might explain the ending with a spoiler warning, I'm not sure. It's not, the ending itself is not something I'm not concerned about. You know, it didn't make me feel elated. It didn't make me feel frustrated. It just kind of ended. It was one of those endings that it wasn't flat, but it didn't leave me with any intense emotions of any kind. In terms of the actual events that happened throughout the film, obviously they're on a beautiful destination and visually it's very gorgeous to look at, very natural, really stunning. But the events, apart from the dolphin scene, which I did like, I felt the rest of it was kind of cliche and predictable. Those parts of it were certainly predictable. It was more so the characters' actions that I thought were not as predictable. So it wasn't anything special. I didn't think it was funny. I did think it was thought-provoking. It definitely made me think about certain things. It's very well acted alongside Clooney and Roberts. We have Sean Lynch as Rob, have Arielle Carver-O'Neill as Kimberley, and Billie Lourd as Wren, and Kaitlyn Dever as Lily. Very strong cast, great performances, beautifully shot. Not a terrible narrative. As I said, it was a bit dull or predictable here and there. It was a bit boring at times, in fact. But when it was good, when there were thought-provoking moments, or when a character did something I didn't expect, those were the bits that I thought, actually, yeah, it's not a bad film. So it definitely goes up and down. It's a roller coaster ride, but not in the emotional way, just in the quality way. And I feel like it was more level a lot of the time. But it did dip. Never dipped too far, thankfully. Also, it was filmed in Queensland, in Australia. It wasn't actually filmed in Bali, which is a shame, but I guess it is what it is. Visually still, it is stunning, regardless. The costumes were great. I have no specific complaints, but it definitely didn't live up to what I was expecting based on the trailer. Ticket to Paradise is worth watching, if only because watching George Clooney and Julia Roberts acting together is delightful. Really brilliant on-screen chemistry. But generally, it fell a bit flat. The trailer definitely had most of the good moments in it, in my opinion. If you like films like this, there may be certain aspects that appeal to you more than they did to me, but nevertheless, I don't feel like I wasted my time seeing it. I don't regret seeing it. I'm glad I've settled that curiosity. But I'll be honest, I can't imagine I'll ever watch it again.